Hello everyone. Just another random rumination for you guys today. Some things that have been on my mind from the, well, it was inspired by a comment left on the Telegram chat. It was basically showing me an exorcist exorcising a demon out of a woman. Although I never actually did see the demon getting cast out, now I think about it. But what he was doing, he had his hand on her head, and she was shaking and convulsing and laughing and making weird movements and staring at him and grimacing. The usual, exorcist stuff. And he was asking it questions about the that thing that everybody put into their system that I'm not allowed to say the name of, when they were given fear about a particular pathogen that might end their lives, let's say, to beat around the bush. Anyway, they were talking about that thing, that thing that plagued us for 2 years before suddenly disappearing, and now all the evidence is coming out to say that maybe it wasn't such a great thing. That thing. And it was telling him basically that, well, we've done this to everybody, so they would die. That's basically what the demon was telling the man. And the whole point was to poison enough of the population and that they would eventually just, be unlifed. I'm trying to beat the system here by saying all these things in a weird, convoluted way, but I think you know what I mean. And it was basically saying by doing this, by shortening the lives of so many people, it would stop them from having enough time to be saved by Jesus Christ. Basically, that was the plan, And they also hinted at the possibility maybe that by taking it, they have corrupted the body so much that they now cannot be saved. That kind of concept, and that there's no hope for the people now that have taken it, and that's what it's all about. And that the whole thing is pharmakia, black magic, and it was designed by demons for the purpose of stopping people from being saved and killing them before they have a chance to be saved. And this guy was talking to this demon, and it looked like he had control over it, type of thing, in the authority of Christ. But I'm incredibly dubious about anybody who films themselves exorcising people of demons. I just am, and I think it's quite a foolish, clownish, hint thing to do, to film yourself exorcising demons, and while you're at it, talking to them. Now, that's just stupid as far as I'm concerned. I'm pretty sure when Jesus was casting demons out, he didn't waste much time having a conversation with them, asking them what the weather's like on the other side. You know what I mean? He didn't start asking them their opinion and what they think about certain things. I don't think it mattered, because this is the thing. They're liars. Their leader is the father of all lies, and everything they do, any interaction they have with a human being, I think they are under strict orders to twist, confuse, lie, and deceive. That's the whole point of their operation. You tell the humans anything to confuse and lie and mix the truth and get them not knowing what's going on. That's the whole point. So when this exorcist is there, with his hand on the head of this woman, basically telling her, telling the demon to give me information, tell me what your plan is, what's going on, and the demon tells him the plan. Why would the demon tell him the plan? That's not, I think demons like to pretend that we have some kind of control over them, with our magic circle we draw before summoning them, or, with our little exorcist ritual that we do, that we're in control of the demon, and, they don't have to tell us anything. We might be able to cast them out of a person with our authority, but they don't then have to tell us everything just because we ask, No, they still, I think they are lying to a lot of people by doing this type of thing. And I think this idea that, that by taking this particular thing into their bodies, these people are no longer compatible and can't be saved. I think by saying stuff like that, it would make Christians who have taken it lose their faith. God has forsaken me. I was, and I took the thing out of fear, and now I can't get into heaven, type of stuff, and why believe that demon? why believe what that demon told you? All they do is lie. You know, I think that's the level of this deception that's going on. I think that's why we're not supposed to talk to these things when casting them out. We're not supposed to waste time listening to their nonsense, because all they're going to do is just try and do anything they can to make people lose their faith and to give up their salvation type of thing. That's all the game is. That's all they can do, you know. They're already defeated, so all they can do now is try and ruin the good time for the rest of us type of thing. So which is why I don't buy much credence to these exorcisms where they're talking to demons and the demons give us some wisdom or truth or something, or tell us the truth about their plan. I think I don't think they're really telling us the truth. But this kind of led me on to thinking about other things, because I had somebody in the Telegram very recently talking about how they're kind of coming to God now, after coming through the New Age Gnostic spiritualist angle type of thing, and they did a lot of meditation, and they had these masters that would help, these gurus would help him, you know, reach these states of enlightenment, and he's coming to the conclusion that it was all a lot of nonsense basically, and he was lied to, and that these things that he's supposedly getting in touch with for enlightenment are actually negative and bad things and not good at all. And he's slowly getting to the realization that, like, God is real and the rest. But in this story he told me, which I thought was interesting, he said they tried to convince him that killing himself would bring him to enlightenment. And I just got thinking about the operation of demons and how they work. And it seems like getting people to end their lives prematurely is kind of the goal, perhaps in a sense to make sure they die before they were born again, before they were saved, before they accepted Jesus Christ into their lives and their hearts. I think that was the point, you know, that I can believe that aspect, but this whole idea that no one can be saved who's taking this thing now, you know, because they've been corrupted too much. And my argument against that corruption thing is, well, we're already corrupted and we already need to be born again and saved, so what's a little bit more corruption from the earth? You know, like, how's that gonna suddenly stop us from being able to be saved anymore? Like, we're already completely fallen corrupted before we're born again, so what's a little bit more, you can't get any more corrupted than we already are. It doesn't matter, you know, we're already fallen beyond belief before we're born again and saved by Christ. So that's why I don't buy that. But back to the point of this guy meditating and then communicating with beings on the other side that are supposedly like ascended masters or, you know, enlightened energy beings, telling you that, oh, if you want to be like us, you know, all you have to do is kill yourself. You know, typical demon lies, isn't it? Just lying and lying. But the promise there isn't, well, it's enlightenment. That's how they're kind of doing it. And it feels like suicide is a huge weapon for these things, and how they get you there, they have many means to get you to that point. Now, you know, talking to Jerry Marzinski and also some experiences in my own life, I understand that one way to get somebody to that state where they can justify ending their own lives before they're saved type of thing is depression, fear, and the weight of the world. So what demons tend to do is they speak to people and tell them they're worthless or useless, or they pretend to be somebody else's thoughts. So they go into your body, you possess you, your mind, your vessel in a way, and they speak to you in your head, in your voice. So you think you're telling yourself these things, so you think it's your own self speaking to you, like your conscience or something, you know. And they'll tell you you're worthless, you're useless, just kill yourself. Life's too hard, it's too difficult, it would just be easy if you just ended your life. You're nothing but a burden to everybody. Just end your life, you know. Oh, you're nothing but just a waste of space who is a drain on not only society but your family, and they're sick of you. They'd be better off without you. Just kill yourself. No, that's one way demons do it, and they do it through voices in their head, and this is where schizophrenia comes into it. And obviously, Jerry Marzinski is the main guy out there who worked with people with schizophrenia, who is saying he thinks these things are a real consciousness with a malevolent agenda. They aren't just voices in people's heads made up from nothing. They have a pattern and an operation and a system, and they all do the same thing. You know, it's like they're all working in unison within different people. Like they have a plan, you know? And that's the truth. That's the way it is. This is a militarized operation in the truth of the matter. This is a spiritual war, and these are the soldiers on the front lines for the enemy. These demons, the Nephilim spirits, going through people and saying stuff to them, you know, to get them to end their life. But if it's not through misery and pain, well, they'll use the promise of ecstasy and enlightenment and bliss to get you to believe that it's okay to end your life. Okay, so that's what another method, and this is what the New Age spiritualist thing is. It's the idea that, well, you aren't really your body, you know, you are the vast, infinite, universal consciousness. You are everything and in everything. You are the consciousness of God itself, experiencing himself in a body that doesn't know it's God, to see what that's like. You know, you're experiencing what it's like to be a mortal vessel, but you're really just God who's forgotten that on purpose. This kind of thinking, you know, this convoluted Eastern mysticism type way of thinking, you know. And therefore, if you are to end your life, you're not actually dying. All you're doing is your consciousness is freed from this vessel that you've imprisoned a piece of God's consciousness into, and you get to go back to the Godhead. You get to go back to being God, you know, and see everything all at once again. And, you know, and then they'll say, and if you're bored, you could always go back into another body, you know, and experience what it's like to be a human being again, or an animal, or whatever you want, you know. And this is where the whole reincarnation stuff gets involved, and this is why there's so many interpretations of Eastern philosophy and Indian philosophy that goes down these weird soul cycle belief systems, you know. But these are all lies, okay? Because that's not the situation we're really in, you know. The real situation is that you have one life, and you need to do it right. You got a chance, you know. And God is not you. You are separate from God. You are created in the image of God, and that is as far as it goes. But you are not God. You are a created being separate from, okay? And it's giving you a chance, essentially, to get right. Because I was thinking about the timing of all of this, and I want you to know, first of all, okay, this is not so saith the Lord, to quote the late great Rob Skiba. This is so thinketh Paul, okay? And even then, this is so thinketh Paul with no absolute degree of certainty about what he's actually saying here. This is pure speculation and hashing out ideas. That's all this is, okay? So don't take this as gospel truth. But we're talking about demons trying to get people to end their lives before they have a chance to be saved, trying to drag as many people down with them as possibly can. And it's kind of like thinking of the timing of things and why this would be happening to us right now in these such weird ways, whether it's through extreme depression and bombarding and oppression to get people to the lowest point where they just end it, or through promises of enlightenment and being like a god and justifying killing yourself as not that bad of a thing to do and actually a benefit for you. There's two methods there. If not real out there false promises and lies, saying something like, you know, if you kill yourself, like the cults have done, where you drink the Kool-Aid, you know, you'll get to go to the next level. It's a similar principle, just with a different method, a different promise, you know, that you get to be with the aliens, or you get to be with whatever the lie is, you know. That's the thing, they all have a different story, but they all want you to do the same thing. It seems like the end goal is kill yourself, you know. Now why? Now in the timing of things, if we are living in, again, this is so thinketh maybe perhaps Paul, okay, we're living in the end times, the real end times, which is the little season, okay. And it explains there in this little season period in Revelations that those who have already risen again have reigned with Christ already for 1,000 years, okay, and now he's gone somewhere with all those people who are now kind of like immortal, like gods, I suppose, in a sense. And then for the last period, the devil will have a little season, but the people who live in his little season are those who died who had not been saved, who were already corrupt, who were already fallen. Which technically means, if you want to go down that way of thinking, we who are living in this time now are those souls resurrected. We are the fallen, corrupted, evil people, you know, that died before Christ turned up, basically. And we're living now, okay, and this is our last chance to be saved, to accept Christ before the real end comes, when the wheat is separated from the tares, and the tares are burnt, destroyed, blotted out, you know. And that's when there's a whole new heaven and earth. Everything is redone, you know, everything, you know. That's our chance, basically, before all this burns away. And it's kind of, do you want to be burnt away with it? So it's not hell, although it's described as a lake of fire, though I think it's literally annihilation. That's what it means. It's not eternal torture or punishment. It's just utter annihilation. Gone. You know, you just disappeared. You're out. You didn't make the cut. You didn't get there in time. But I think there was like a grace period. I don't think just because if you're completely ignorant that there's a possibility to be saved, I don't think that means suddenly God's gonna penalize you for that. But I think it's if you intentionally lived your life doing the most heinous of things, and at worst you knew God was real while doing it, then you are done for, basically. And it would make sense why the aim is, let's try and get people to kill themselves before their last chance is over, prematurely. So it's giving them less time to figure it all out, you know what I mean? Less time to come to Christ, less time to truly be saved before the utter destruction. You know, the final end, the last one, you know. Again, my theology might not be 100% perfect and all of that, but I'm just trying to figure out why the modus operandi of demons is to make you kill yourself, fundamentally. Why that is the baseline of what they're going for. And again, the methods are weird. The methods are strange. They can do it, they can convince people that it's a good thing to kill yourself. That's how they do it, you know? And that is not at all the way it should be. You know, I mean, I personally experienced a little story for here, you know, it's a sad story, but I think it was in 2010. I think it was June 10th, 2010. My brother and sister's dad, so they're older than me. My mother had me with my dad, but before that she was married to this other person and had my brother and sister who were older. And he sadly ended his own life in 2010, alone in a what Americans would call a motel, like a side of the motorway hotel, you know, like a Premier Inn or something like that in British terms. And he hung himself. And it basically, prior to this, in the inquest which happened afterwards through the courts, we found out that from his partner and all these witnesses that he was basically hearing voices in the walls. He was getting hyper paranoid, and he was tearing the walls apart because he could hear things speaking to him in there, you know. So we knew that much. He was heavily on drugs as well, hard class A's, you know. He was going hard on that type of stuff, and he was just in a downward spiral. He felt like he wasn't earning enough money. He was scared about the future and how he's going to support himself, and everything was just at the worst possible point. And he was hearing voices, and then it led him to ending his own life. So I think the voices must have had a lot to do with convincing him to do that, you know. Though my family, who isn't necessarily, you know, a spiritual thinker like myself, probably wouldn't see it that way. The more I contemplate what I know now, the more I think, yes, it seems like he was oppressed spiritually by demons to the point where they got him to do that thing, you know, which is what it seems to what they're trying to get everybody to do. So there's I guess this is a random rumination, like I say, it's a random rant, and I'm just thinking about the nature and the timings of things and how they get people to do this stuff. And like I said, it's a big goal for them. It really is. It's kind of, and is the purpose, you know, to get them to die before they have a chance to be saved in this precious moment of the end where there is no second chance anymore. This is our second chance if it's the little season stuff. You know, this is truly our second chance. No more second chances after this. You know, because God is fair in that respect. It's kind of, although those people who lived during the times of Jesus Christ were saved during his time and got to live and reign, you know, and rise again as saints basically for 1,000 years in his kingdom, all those people who died before Christ turned up, well, they didn't have a chance to be saved, truly, did they, and get out that fallen, corrupt nature that they were given by Adam. You know, what about those people, you know? And it turns out they were saved in a place, you know, and then they were given that chance to be rise again after the 1,000-year reign to be saved, to accept Christ, because they didn't have that chance prior to Christ's arrival. So, you know, God is fair and just in that respect, and all Satan's job really is to make sure we don't discover that. Do you get what I mean? That's all the lies are really for, to make us understand that no, this is not our chance. No, so to make us believe, oh no, well, you know, we're going to get raptured or something, or there will be that or we still have a second chance after the 1,000-year reign. If he can get us believing that type of stuff and not understanding this is it, actually, this is the end of the reel, you know, then he's won, because then people can kind of first have a safety net where they think, well, Jesus Christ is going to turn up and we're all going to see that he's real, so everyone's going to be saved anyway. Or some people go down that route, well, I'm going to get raptured anyway because I'm already saved, so I won't have to suffer anything, you know, and I get to be in the 1,000-year reign. You know, or even further, some people think, well, if I don't accept him now, I can always accept him in the last chance during the little seasons. And it's getting people to continue to sin in the most heinous ways and kind of justify it, thinking they've got a second chance coming. But if the devil can convince us that you've got, well, you'll have a second chance anyway, and then we can feel more safe and comfortable in our sin, essentially. But if we knew Christ has come and gone, and the next time he's coming back, it's going to be brutal. It's truly to separate the evil from the good, and this is your last chance to pick a side. If we knew that, people wouldn't be so frivolous with their life. People wouldn't be so easily deceived either. We would be living righteously, understanding that it's deadly important that we do. Do you understand? It would be a different world if the devil hadn't convinced the world utterly that we have no idea where we live or when we live. You know? And this is why, you know, lying is a serious thing, and people who deal with like DMT jesters and stuff like that, you know, they need to know that whether you encounter them during an exorcism and they start telling you stuff, or you encounter them in the DMT realm while tripping and they start telling you stuff, or you encounter them while meditating and they start telling you stuff, do not believe a word they say. They will lie to you in every scenario. If you believe you've been abducted by aliens and then they start telling you stuff, you know, whatever it is, whatever method, you know, if you summon them by an Ouija board or other occult method and they start telling you things, it's not wisdom. It's all lies. And it's all basically to either get you to kill yourself or to live in the perpetual lie and understanding that you can have power over demons, or you are a god, or whatever it is, to make sure you don't understand that this is your last chance. You know, that's the kind of the game. As I'm starting to see it, as I've done my research for the past decade, this is what's peeling back slowly. This is basically it. It's actually really simple. Like, it's not as convoluted and as complex as some spiritualist movements would want you to believe. It's kind of Occam's razor situation, you know. You know, the simplest solution is probably the most logical solution. And I know some people out there saying what I'm saying isn't simple, but in terms of biblical theology and spiritualism, it's actually the most simple truth, you know. Because I've researched a lot out there, and God, some of them get really complicated unnecessarily and hyper spiritualized and use so much nuanced, pretentious word salad languages to describe the most basic of concepts that people think it's wise and intelligent and clever because it sounds hard to understand, you know. But the truth is easy. The truth is simple, you know. Jesus Christ is here to save us. God is real. All you need to do is just accept Jesus Christ and get right and stop sinning, and you'll be saved. You'll be born again in the blood of Christ, and that nature of sinful nature you once had will shed away from you, and you'll be born again anew, and you will no longer want to sin. And it's an easy thing to do once you do it, and you'll realize it actually works, and you'll have more life abundantly while you have this life. But if you go the other way and keep sinning and don't find the truth in Christ, you know, then life will get worse, and you'll be driven to eventually to wanting to kill yourself. And the whole world is pretty much geared to making sure that this life you live here right now is the hardest possible life you can live. But it gets a lot easier when you know it's okay and you're saved. It gets easier to bear, you know. He helps you carry the burden, essentially. It's yeah, okay, I'm going off there, but you get the point. A random rumination for you there, just some, call it a stream of consciousness of thought, of just things I'm batting around in my mind. No solid conclusions here. Again, so thinketh Paul without any real certainty, not so saith the Lord. That's basically what I'm saying here. But it's yeah, it's been interesting to think about for the past day or two, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys, and as always, God bless.